Your alternative talk radio contact. The Planet. KGRAradio.com.
With infinite complacence, people went to and fro over the earth about their little affairs, serene in the assurance of their dominion over this small, spinning fragment of solar driftwood, which by chance or design, man has inherited out of the dark mystery of time and space.
Hello everybody, welcome to another edition of Into the Fray. First off, I want to thank Mr. Mark Muncy of Erie, Florida. He called the hotline and left us a fantastic story, which you will hear after my boring intro. Visit Mark and, of course, the lovely Carrie, the illustrator for their book series, Erie, Florida, and now Freaky Florida, at erieflorida.com. Now, speaking of the hotline, if you follow me on any of the social media sites, I recently sent out a call to action for you guys to utilize the hotline a little more. It is something that I pay for very happily, no problem, but it's been a little quiet, as I said. And what the hotline is really for the most part, unless you want to call back 4 or 5 times, is for those that have shorter stories and you are out there, maybe you don't want to talk to me. Maybe you don't want me to interview you and grill you as you have heard previously with my other guests. And that is totally fine. So the hotline is for you guys. So the hotline number is 877-317-9111. No one is going to answer. I won't answer. It's just a voicemail line. You have 5 minutes roundabout there. Keep an eye on your clock, your watch, whatever. And if you need to call back a second or a third or fourth time, whatever, that's fine. Just do that. No problem. Pick up right where you left off. But that was kind of the meaning of the post. Kind of it's quiet. Hotline's quiet. I know you guys are out there to where maybe you would rather just leave it on my hotline. So once again, 877-317-9111. Call it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. As I mentioned on the last show, On the Trail of Bigfoot, and I am in it. I am lucky enough to be a part of that production with Small Town Monsters is available right now. Go to Amazon. You can watch both parts, the legend, and then the search. And please, if you have a few moments, leave a review on Amazon. And I know that both Seth and myself we're doing giveaways. I'm doing insider giveaways, and he's doing, I think, some swag giveaways in relation to Small Town Monsters and On the Trail of Bigfoot in particular. So leave us a review in Amazon. It helps out tremendously. So without further yapping from me, let's hear Mark's call, and then I move into an interview, a very fascinating interview. And oh boy, I wish you guys knew where this was, because it is incredible, this location. Makes me very excited. But it is an anonymous interview with a man and his wife featuring a Bigfoot sighting in a very anonymous location. And it will stay that way. You guys know that I take privacy very seriously if the guest prefers that. So again, though, a huge thanks to this couple for coming on. And if you guys out there, this sparks you to email me, Shannon at intothefrayradio.com, message me, then go ahead and do that. It would be my honor and my pleasure. So here we go with Mark and the anonymous interview.
Hello, Into the Phrazies. This is Mark Muncy from Erie, Florida, and I have a special tale to tell tonight. I get this one requested pretty often. It's a personal event, and it seems appropriate for this time of year. So I know I've discussed an appearance of the cryptid on the property I grew up in called the Bench Leg of Goble Ridge up in Kentucky. And this is on that same land, and this was long before that event occurred. I knew that land like the back of my hand. It's been in the family for a couple generations. It's a wild and spooky woods. It's on the Kentucky border with West Virginia, near the town of Louisa. And the old road there that goes around the hill is where we have our big family trailer. And then down the hill in this old baseball field that my father had mowed out of the trees and such, that the town used to come up and play baseball on. It was still kept clear. We kept it clear, and we had this old Airstream trailer that my friends and I from the city had come and reclaimed it from the wilderness, and that was where we would hang out so we could hide from the grown-ups and such. Well, I would go out there because it was beautiful to see the stars there. We were far away from city lights. I was in the big city all the time, so I couldn't see the stars nearly as well as I did there. I was a big nerd in the late 70s, early 80s. So at this point, there were ghost stories of the land. There were other crazy things. And I would go out walking at night out in the woods and just having a good time. I mean, there were bears on the property. There were, some other semi-dangerous animals, but I never really worried about them much. You figure if you make enough noise, they go away. But on this particular night, I was wandering through the woods and just waiting for, I believe it was for a meteor shower was supposed to be coming that night. And this is the days before the internet when, meteor showers would send me an alert. So I had to kind of keep track of things. And I remembered there was one coming. And so we were going to the trailer that day. And I was excited to go out in the woods on my own. And I was just going to hang out in the ball field. But I started taking a walk just because it was getting dark. It was wonderful. And I just liked walking out in the woods. And went out behind our trailer, and there's this old little path through the woods that went out to the old coal mine where the bears hung out. But I wasn't planning to go that far. I was just kind of wandering around. And as I'm out there, I look up, and there's this strange glow in the tree above me. And I wasn't sure what to make of it at first. I thought, that's an odd light. Maybe a headlight from a hill nearby. A car up on the hill was shining. It's directly above me. And then I'm like, maybe it's some foxfire, some glowy moss, because it was a weird looking light. And I took a couple steps to see if I could get a better angle on it. And the light jumped to the tree above me. It followed me. I didn't know quite what to make of it. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is this? So nervous at this point. I'm like, is this a ghost? Is this the bench leg I'd heard so much about? I hadn't had my encounter with that yet. And I was like, I've heard it's glowy, but I've never seen it invisible. This is just a weird light. And a little part of me was sitting there going, am I Close Encounters of the Third Kind here? Am I about to be abducted? And so I'm like, all right, I'll take another step. And I took a couple steps, and the light jumped above me again. And I'm like, okay, this is crazy. Now I'm hearing in my father's voice is in my head. And I know he's a mile away in the big trailer. And I'm hearing him lecturing me for years, do not run in the woods at night. Because whatever you think is behind you, you are going to be convinced is behind you. Because you're going to be stirring up stuff, you're going to be knocking over branches, you're going to be hearing things, and if you run, you're either A, going to fall and hurt yourself, possibly die, or B, you're just going to run until you have a heart attack, because you're never going to stop. So I'm hearing that over and over in my head, but my heart is getting louder and louder as this light is freaking me out. All right, so I tell myself, okay, 2 more steps. It's got to be some trick of the light. So I take a couple more steps and the light right across the 2 trees above me. And that was it. I was done. I'm like, oh my God, I'm terrified. The heart was just pounding. I'm like, okay, 1 more jump. Just 1 more jump. So I took a jump and the light follows me. And that's it. I was off. I started running. I was going to the big trailer with my father and his shotgun. Whatever this was going to be taken care of. I started running. I was running through the woods. I knew it well. I knew the path well. I was terrified. It was dark. Stars were gorgeous. And I keep looking back up behind me and the light is right behind me, right above me, just constant. It was keeping up with me. And I run and run and run. And I'm stirring up, I don't know what kind of animals. I'm hearing stuff running through the brush all around me. It's just making me more and more terrified. This thing's going to eat me or whatever it's going to do to me. I didn't want any part of it. I keep running. And then I kicked up a deer. Now, I don't know if any of you listeners know what it's like when you startle a deer. It sounds like a woman being murdered. It is probably one of the most horrifying sounds. If you Google that, trust me, it will terrify you. Now, imagine that in the dark while you're already scared out of your mind. That was it. My heart nearly exploded. If Dad was right, I would have had a heart attack. I'd have been a few years older. But I ran even more, and I kept looking up, and the light is right above me. It was branched tree to tree. It was keeping pace. I could not get away. I zigged, I zagged. It was following me. I finally get to the barbed wire fence that surrounds the trailer property, and I'm climbing through it as fast as I can. I'm cutting my hands all to hell. And then I'm in the clearing, and the light's gone. I'm like, yes, it can't leave the woods. I figured out a rule. And I race. And I'm like gasping for breath. I'd run mile. And I gasp for breath. And I was a fat kid. It's okay. And I get to the trailer. And I'm up on the porch. And I look up. And there's the light. And I recognize it finally. And I realize and remember the flashlight that I had put in my back pocket. So I had run for a mile being chased by my own ass. A very special story for you from Market Erie, Florida, for you on this April Fool's Day, to all those wonderful Into the Fray listeners. Thanks so much.
Taking the time on your day off to do this.
No problem at all. It's pretty exciting. I've listened to so many of your podcasts. It's kind of cool to be on the other end of it now.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. No, I'm always flattered when anyone wants to come on and talk to me and share their stories. It's a big deal for me every time, and I'm flattered. Thank you.
I'm going to put you on speaker. My wife is sitting here next.
Oh, well, thank you guys both so much for coming on.
Oh, no problem at all. No problem. I was raised in Texas. I lived in Alaska for many years. I've hunted all over the place. I actually lived in Mexico for a while. I've got a lot of experience with animals, and I have no idea what we saw. The weird thing is, the several mornings after we had this sighting, which was very near where we live, we had a terrible smell outside our house. How many days? 3 days?
3 days.
Yeah. And I would get up to go to work, and we'd smell this thing, and it was just crazy.
No, it was It was one of the nastiest smells I've ever smelled. And I was born and raised on a farm. I've never smelled anything this bad.
So yeah, that's saying a lot, right? I mean, growing up on a farm, you're used to a lot of nasty, interesting smells, and you just get used to them. But so this surpassed it.
Yeah, no, this smell made my eyes burn and water. It was so bad.
Yeah, and then just to, open up here really quickly, I mean, you emailed me, and just to let everybody know, this is really what most would think of, including myself, as you mentioned in the beginning, an unassuming place for probably a Bigfoot sighting or sightings, as we will discuss. It is in my state. It is in Nevada. We are not going to give out the city, and they are going to stay anonymous, and I completely understand why. But you guys did have an interesting sighting, and I don't know if you want to start with yours or your friends. And when we get to that, I don't even know if you want to, say what he did, for work.
Okay.
If it's totally up to you. I totally get why you may not want to even bring that up. But anywhere that you guys want to start, go for it. I'm looking forward to hearing this.
I think it'd probably be easiest to start with ours because then it will kind of tie into his.
Okay.
We were at his house, our friend's house, and we were coming home. It was about 2:30 in the morning. It was December 5th, 2005. And we were driving home. And initially, when I saw this thing, it was in our lane coming at us out of the desert, and it was dark. And I thought it was somebody on a dirt bike, maybe standing up on the foot pegs because it was so tall and it was very fast. And I thought dirt bike because it's coming out of, like I said, the desert, and there was no lights. And it started to make a turn to its left, which had been our right, into a housing community. It was on the road. And I told my wife, I said, I've been riding motorcycles my whole life, and that guy is not going to make that corner. When it turned, behind it was a street light, which shadowed it, or caused it to create basically an eclipse. And behind that was a block wall. And when this thing turned and we saw its silhouette, we didn't know what to think. I mean, this thing, I told her, I said, it looked like a refrigerator with legs. The chest was so deep, barrel chested. It was almost cartoonish. It was so out of proportion. It was so huge. Now my wife, she saw it a little different. She saw it before I did. If you want to tell her.
I was the one that was driving. So of course my eyes are always, on the road. And when I first saw it, it was in the medium standing by a tree, which was pretty tall, but he made it look short. And then it stepped off the medium, which is about, 8 inches? Maybe?
Yeah, maybe 6 or 8, yeah.
So it just coming towards us, and then my husband said, oh my God, he's not going to make the corner. And all I saw was a refrigerator with legs. It was so huge. I actually stepped on the gas to see if I could catch this thing, and it was gone before we could blink.
We were about 40 yards behind it when it made the corner, and we just briefly lost sight of it. And like she said, she got on it and made that corner right behind it, and it was just gone. And she drove around for a few minutes looking for this thing. And yeah, I guess it could have ducked down behind a tree or something, but I don't know how we could have done it that fast. It was amazingly fast. And then, like we had said, the next 3 mornings, and we were very near where the sighting was, we had that smell. Oh, and one of the block wall that it went past, I noticed when it went past that it was about a head height above that wall. So I went back the next day, I measured the wall, and of course it was up on a curb, and I'm figuring this thing was about 7.5 feet tall. And just enormous. So I later on called my friend, and I told him about it. And I said, you're going to think I'm crazy, but this is what I saw. He said, and this was, like I said, the first part of December. He said, in a couple of weeks, friends and family are coming into town. I want you to come by my house because I got a story to tell you. And the story he told me was years ago, he and a bunch of people were out in the area, and he drove a jacked up, I think it was a Ford Bronco, but it was really, really a big truck. And they're sitting around, they got a bonfire going, and one of these girls that's with them just started screaming. And, they all jumped up and looked, and there was something, one of these things, I guess, standing on the opposite side of his truck looking over the hood. And it scared the hell out of him. Now, one of the guys that was there, he's a professional cowboy. He's tough as a rock and is not afraid of anything. Well, when they saw this thing, he took off after it, trying to catch it. I don't know what he was going to do.
Holy cow.
But yeah, it was right on the edge of this little foothill. And they said that thing climbed that foothill like it was nothing and got back. And when it crested the top, it turned around and looked at him and yelled at him. and then was gone. And so that's the story he told me. Okay, well, a couple of weeks after, we had this conversation, 5 out of those 9 people were in town. And I went to my friend's house, and he said, hey, I told my friend about what we saw. Well, one of the people got up and left the room, and the other people there, they just said, yep, whatever he said, that's what happened. We don't want to talk about it. Nobody would discuss it. But we don't know what color the one we saw was because it was so dark. We just know it was dark in one color. He said the one that he saw was about like the color of a coyote. So kind of that feral color, which I think is kind of interesting. I've never heard of one that color.
That would make sense for the terrain that it's in, though. That's very interesting.
Exactly.
Or in the summertime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think another thing that's interesting is both of the sightings, ours and his, were both in December. My thought is they travel through here in the wintertime, probably following the river, the food, whatever,
Hiding place.
Yeah, a place to hide, something. But I don't see, with the temperatures that we have here, how something that dark and furry or hairy or whatever could survive. I don't know, but.
Well, that's not an impossibility, I suppose. And if you guys all saw these around December, then of course it's very mild winters here. And as you said, if they're passing through to get somewhere else, wherever that might be, I mean, there's plenty in right next door in Arizona, right? We've got more mountainous areas in Arizona than maybe we do here, to where they could in this part of the state where they could actually just shoot over there, migrate that direction, or maybe California.
Well, I heard you mention something on another podcast, something about Yucca Man. I've never heard of that. Is that kind of along the same lines?
Yeah, that's basically in our southern area. I think it's more in, I think it's Yucca National Forest or National Park, whatever it is in Southern California, where they usually get the Yucca Man. But I would assume that if we're reaching in this area, because obviously we don't have a whole lot of sightings, that would entail the same name. And I've said that too. I've called it the Yucca Man when I'm like, well, I'm going to go to Mount Charleston and hope to catch a Yucca Man up here. Probably won't happen, but as you mentioned in the beginning, me kind of always being like, I miss going Bigfooting and having that chance to see him. But swinging back to, I like that aspect of the December sightings. That's very interesting. And I'm not going to mention what he did, but did the rest of these people also have the same profession?
No, they did not.
Okay.
I can say he was an upstanding member of the community. He was a really good guy. And if you said it, you had to believe it,
Yeah.
So,
let's just say he had an important job. We'll just say that.
He did. He did. Yes, exactly.
Very, very trusted and like you said, upstanding member of the community.
Correct.
I mean, am I allowed to, and I can cut this out if you don't want to bring this up, but you did mention that once he kind of let this story out, though, he was highly ridiculed.
I don't know who he told. Had he have let it out, he would have been ridiculed terribly. Other than the people that were sitting around the table that I met, I don't know who else he told. I doubt he told too many people because it's just so unbelievable. Yeah.
Well, of course, and then some of those folks, like you said, they just got up. They wouldn't even discuss it.
Right. One of the people got up and left, and the other people just said, yep, whatever he said, yep, we'll go with that.
Oh.
And, they didn't even want to talk about it. Well,
so
which told me it must have been true.
Yeah, right. Because then, I mean, just like everybody feels, even myself, with our own encounters, everybody goes through it. You're like, people aren't going to believe me. They're going to think I'm freaking crazy.
Exactly.
Well, my husband and I, we saw this at the same time, but there was a couple other little incidences I didn't tell him because I wasn't sure of myself. But since we had seen this in 2005 until a couple of months ago, I get up early in the morning and I let our little fur babies out to go potty. And there's been a couple times, 3 times since then that I walked outside and I've smelt that smell. The most recent was like a month and a half ago. And it is one of the most most putrid smells I've ever smelled.
Yeah, and swing back to what you were saying in the beginning there about just how putrid it was, and the fact that putrid smells are not foreign to you because of your growing up, and just how bad this was.
Oh, it was for me to walk outside and my eyes to start burning and watering. Thank goodness I was actually going home to take a shower to go to work.
It kind of smelled like somebody crapped a horse.
Oh,
if that makes any sense at all.
Yes.
We have a pig farm here, and I've been by that besides being raised on the farm.
Yep.
This smells 10 times worse than that.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny that you mentioned that, because I know exactly that smell. And when you were downwind from the pig farm, holy cow. I don't care how nice of a day it was outside, or if your house hadn't been open in 8 months, you couldn't air anything out.
Right.
And it was worse than that.
I was raised on a pig farm, so that's, the wind doesn't make any difference. But this stuff was way worse than that.
Wow. Okay, so you guys have a couple of dogs. So do they act kind of like, I'm not going outside right now? Do they ever act kind of funny?
They will run to the times that I went out with the smell that was there. They have ran to the corner of our yard and just went batshit crazy barking. And like I said, I've smelled that smell before. I get them to do their business and get them back inside because I don't know how close it is.
And do you guys have a situation where you have a block wall, or you have an open area where you can kind of see around you?
It's the block
we
wall.
We have a block wall. Our back block wall is like 18.
No, it's 11 feet on the street side, and it's like 6 feet on our side.
Okay.
So yeah, you can't, unless you walk up and get on your toes or something and look over, you can't see the street.
Even over it. Yeah.
But it's just kind of ironic that it's right on the other side of that wall that we had our sighting. On the other side of the wall, and then it's a 4-lane road. It's on the other side of that. But I mean, it's very, very close.
Yeah, too close for me.
Yeah.
I do not blame you, especially when I could probably just hop that fence, no problem. The original sighting, you saw the closest you think it was would probably be guesstimation 40 yards, which is pretty close.
I would guess, yeah.
Yeah, especially when you're driving towards it and it's coming towards you. And I like your description. We see these guys all the time, and I'm not trying to sound like an asshole, but I usually call them organ donors, people that decide to get up and do a wheelie on these bikes and stuff on the roads.
Exactly.
It's not very smart to do that. Yep. I'm sorry, but that's what they turn into.
Yep.
So that's how tall it was to you guys. Now, it was coming straight at you, and then it made the turn. I mean, a refrigerator with legs. Did you guys see, how much motion?
Moving.
Okay.
You could see the legs moving like it was running.
Oh yeah, it was
definitely running.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was moving very fast, swinging its arms, and it was exactly like what was on the PG film. Exactly the same shape, head.
Like no neck.
I don't know if it didn't have a neck, or the neck muscles or shoulder muscles were so big that it makes it look like it doesn't have a neck.
They care in the wintertime.
Right.
I don't know if they shed or not, but.
Well. But yeah, when it turned, all we could see was just a dark silhouette. But we were close enough. And if we had any light, we would have get some features. We weren't able to. Like I said, we couldn't tell what color it was, other than it was all one color and it was dark. But the profile of it was just that. Like I said, what stood out to me the most was the chest. The upper body was just crazy huge. I think you could bench press a monster truck. Did you see any kind of features or anything?
No, it was exactly what you described.
I mean, are you guys a little relieved that you didn't see, facial features or anything like that?
Oh,
I think I am.
Not me, man. I wish I could have seen everything.
Well, the thing is, going on the same line, but off on a limb, I am so used to seeing things that most people don't. From the time I was 6 years old, I've seen spirits, I've seen ghosts, I've seen all through my life. I'm 64, so it's been a long time.
She's very sensitive to that kind of thing.
Yes, I've actually even had what is it from the Oculus that lives in the mirror?
We had a haunted mirror.
Really?
It was actually taking me over.
Yeah, it was.
Seriously.
You still have that?
Oh, no.
Fuck no.
Oh, okay.
No, I made him get rid of it. No.
Okay.
Did I mention my wife's a sailor?
Hey, so you guys know, so I'm like, come on. You've heard this show.
I was a bartender for 40 years. I have a right.
Amen. Any of us that have ever bartended, you're a therapist and you're a pirate and a trucker all rolled into one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I can prove it.
Oh my God. I need to get you back on if you'd ever want to talk about your other experiences. That's amazing.
Oh my God. The worst one, like I said, was the Oculus.
Oh, gosh.
I'm still screwed up in the head over it. Sorry.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That's terrible.
No,
because you hear about people going to like these estate sales or something, and sometimes they'll know that it's a haunted item or they're going to look for a haunted item, and then other times they don't know. They brought it in the house, they think it's just this beautiful damn thing, and they put it up, and then it causes nothing but problems. But they don't even know where the problems are coming from.
Exactly.
I actually should have known better. It was in the office that my boss is actually my mom-in-law now.
Mm-hmm.
And our office was haunted. But when they decided to change the decor of the office, this mirror, it was beautiful. It had leather work on the outside and bead studs. And it's like, oh my God, I wanted it. So she brought it with me, and I totally forgot about the spirit that was in the office, and it came with it. And that's when my problem started.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry to hear about that.
Yeah, you should go on and tell me about that sometime.
Anyway, I need to get rid of it.
I do not blame you. I'm sure it was a lovely mirror, but time to go. Whether you burn it, bury it, or drown it, or whatever the hell had to happen there.
Yep. And the funny thing is, I had it in my truck, and I wanted to throw it away in a dumpster. And I got super paranoid for some reason that the police department had cameras on the dumpsters. I don't know why. I was thinking that. So I pull up to a dumpster here in town, and I go to throw it away. I'm like, no, I can't throw it away. The police will see me. I don't know why.
It's like it made you. It put that in your head, right?
Exactly.
It's saving itself.
When I finally realized, hey, just throw the stupid thing away. It had a wire on the back to hang it up on the wall.
Right.
When I picked it up to throw it in the dumpster, that wire sunk into my thumb. It must have gone a half inch into my thumb. And I couldn't believe it. It's the way I grabbed it. And that's probably, that's not exactly supernatural. It was a sharp piece of, wire. But it was just weird that while I was finally throwing it away, it got me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
what in the world? Oh, yeah. So, okay. I've got to hear about the mirror if you ever feel like talking about that. That is incredible. But I don't want to keep you guys all day on your day off. Okay, so the Bigfoot is running, and then the Bigfoot turns. Now, he said that he turned into a neighborhood. I'm assuming that was you guys' neighborhood or a neighborhood next to yours?
Right, just on the other side of the street.
The road.
Yeah, there's two housing areas. We live on the north side, and this was on the south side.
Okay.
That it turned into.
Still too damn close to your house.
Very much too close. Yeah.
I mean, so if yours is, you were sure that yours was in fact, even though you saw it silhouetted in at 2:30 in the morning, yours was of a darker colored fur variety. It certainly wasn't this light sandy brown like a coyote color, right?
No, it was dark brown. It was dark. Yeah, it was definitely dark.
Dark auburn.
Oh,
brown.
Okay. So it wasn't like a black one.
Honestly, I can't say what color. All I can say was it was dark.
That's what I'm saying. If we saw it in the light, it might have been like an auburn brown or too black. But yeah, no, it was very dark.
So what about? I'm sorry. What year was your friend's sighting? It was that same year or the next year?
No, his sighting was several years before ours.
Oh,
okay. Late 90s.
Oh, okay.
2000.
But it's still in December.
No, I think it was even older than that. I honestly don't know. I don't think he ever told me what year his was.
Okay. I was just wondering if it might have been the same individual or something. That's what I was trying to maybe ascertain as far as the colors.
A relative?
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Another crazy cousin that's like, hey, let's go through here because no one will believe that it's us. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't honestly say that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And he
didn't laugh. He didn't laugh at me when I told him, which I was really expecting. I was afraid to tell anybody, but I'm like, man, I got to tell somebody.
And of all the people, you chose to tell him, huh? I mean, I wonder why you felt that it was okay, just to. That's really cool that you did that.
They were close.
Okay.
We were very, very good friends, and basically, if I was going to tell anybody anything, it would have been him.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so you weren't like just. Barely friends that were, because I'm just going off of, and we can't share what he does for a living, but if I had a kind of an acquaintance that did that, I might, of course they'd probably already know I'm a weirdo, but I might watch what I said around him, you know what I mean? So I gotcha.
If they know you're a weirdo, that's where they become friends.
Yeah, exactly. Only in the weirdo club, we got to let the flag fly really high,
Exactly. Well, we were, he actually got me into the same line of work that he was in, and we worked together for quite a few years. And, we were really tight. We were really good friends. And, so like I said, if anybody I would have told, it would have been him. But, the funny thing is too, I thought that I told my parents about it, and my mom, I guess, kind of believed me. And I didn't know if my dad did or not. And he just recently passed away. But before he passed away, I told him, I said, I just want you to know that we're not lying to you about this. We did see this. And he goes, oh, no, I believe you. And after he passed, my mom told me that he used to go out in the backyard because they lived just down the road from us. That he would go out in the backyard. And Mom asked him one time, what are you doing? He said, I want to see one. I want to see it too. And
wow.
Yeah.
So he was excited about it.
Anyway.
Well, now I want to take a drive and just sit out there all day, just drive around.
Yeah, I can show you exactly where it was.
Oh my goodness! Yeah. I'm going to take you guys up on that. I promise you, I will. Yeah. Now
I cringe every morning when I let my little girls out because I don't know when I'm going to smell that smell again.
And that was just a month ago.
The last time was like a month and a half ago that I smelled it.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, and there's no pig farm or anything like that in that area. I know that for a fact.
No,
but you said it's not even the same smell. So
it's almost like burnt flesh. When you get that smell in your nose, you never forget the smell.
It would make sense, though. I mean, if they're running around and it's a little bit warm, you guys have heard me laugh about the Florida skunk ape. I'm like, those poor dudes.
Well, that's like when it rains and your dog gets wet and it comes in, it's a different smell. Yes. And it's not good.
Yeah.
So when you smell it, you know what it is. I
wonder what, that's just, I wouldn't want to think that it's just on the other side of the block wall or something.
What gets me is I was born and raised in Texas. I hunted all over the state. I lived many years in Alaska. I hunted all over the state. To be in those places where all these sightings are, there's tons of sightings in both those states, for me to see nothing and then come here where nobody sees anything, it's like, really? And then, like I said, I talked to Wes Germer about this a couple of years ago. And he said, we wanted, he would record us and be on his podcast. And the only reason we didn't, because, we talked about it, was like, nobody's going to believe us. And then when I got turned on to your podcast, which I think was either his or Tony Merkel's show, I can't remember where I heard about yours. And I looked up and I was listening to one of the things and you said something about the boring weather here always being sunny. And I'm like, well, that sounds like where I'm at. And then you said where you were at. And I was like, no kidding. Wow, maybe I should talk to her, So,
well, if there's any chance, I don't think it's impossible. I don't think it's really that crazy. And I know that everyone's going, or just tell us where it is so we can look it up. No, we're not going to do that. Just trust us that it would be an unassuming place for these things to be. Right. Now, you're not saying that they're there all the time or anything, although it is strange that you've been smelling it and the dogs are kind of acting a little nutty. That's a little worrisome, but
yeah.
Yeah, the idea of them moving through, and I can think of a couple of areas, to be honest with you, that, as fast as these things are and as adept that they are at being in the bush, wherever that may be, they surpass us in every single way. So I'm thinking, as fast as
Absolutely.
they are and stealthy as they are, why not? Why not? Why couldn't they find a cave that nobody goes to, or they go and scare some of the homeless folks out of the cave and get the hell out? This is my cave now. I mean,
Yep.
I don't know. It's not impossible.
Yep. I've always been interested in the subject, but I just couldn't really believe it. And, like I told my wife, we don't have the luxury of choosing not to believe anymore. That was taken away.
Right.
We have no choice but to believe. We have no choice. And some of the people that I've told, they just flat out told me they didn't believe me. And, and that's their right.
And that's okay. Yeah. You're like, I know what I saw. That's cool.
Yeah, exactly. I've never seen a UFO. But if somebody told me, hey, I saw a UFO, I can't say they didn't.
Isn't that funny considering where we are? And you've heard me say it too. I've never seen. Everyone's like, oh, you must see them all the time. You're right near Area 51, which we aren't. They don't realize it's it's a 4-hour drive north. But regardless, no, I've never seen a UFO out here either.
And I used to work graveyards. I was outside for basically 6 to 8 hours a night.
Uh-huh.
And I was always looking. I saw a lot of shooting stars.
Yeah.
But I never saw anything weird. I did have another sighting of something else. I think I mentioned it to you when we were
texting
back and forth. I can't remember. It was about 2008. I was working in law enforcement at the time. And I was at my office, and my father stopped by. I was working alone. It was a Saturday. And my father stopped by, and I went outside. We were talking, having a smoke, just chit-chatting. And about 100 yards north of my office, and the office was on the outskirts of town, I saw what I thought was a black lab. I see this black animal running around. And there's a park, and there's a little bit of a drop-off, probably 8 or 10-foot drop-off where the parking lot is. This thing was at the base of that little drop-off area. And so I see it, and I don't see anybody around. So I get the binoculars out of my truck, and I'm looking at this thing, and it's a cat. It's not a black lab. It's a cat. And I'm like, that thing must be a lot closer than I'm thinking because it looks huge. So I give my dad the binoculars, I get in my truck, and I drive up there. And I'm standing at the edge, or on the top of that little drop-off, and my cell phone rings. I answer it, and it's my dad, and he says, get your ass back in the truck. And, when my dad says that, I don't question why. So I get back in the truck, and I could see him. He was looking at me with the binoculars. And when I get back down to my office, he said that thing was laying at the foot of that drop-off, and it was kind of an overhang, so I couldn't see it.
Mm-hmm.
He said it was looking up at me.
Oh, God.
And he said it looked like it was looking like it was about to jump on me. And he said I'm 6 foot at the time, about 200 pounds. And he said it was as big as me. And, cause he could see it and me at the same time. So I saw a black panther in the middle of the desert. How stupid is that?
I don't think it's stupid at all. I think that's incredible. And thank God, your dad just happens to stop by and then was able to see this thing and was able to call you to get into your truck. Thank goodness.
Exactly.
Is there any other, have you done any searches for other people seeing a black cat in the area?
No, I haven't.
There's really not a black cat website like we have BFRO and stuff for Bigfoot, but we don't really have that for the big kitties.
Right. Maybe there should. Maybe I should start my own podcast, huh?
I mean, you may as well, especially considering your location. I mean, this is too cool. I wasn't privy to the details, of course, of the Bigfoot sighting that you guys had, but I mean, holy cow. Okay. Oh, so for the Bigfoot reports in the area, did you come across any others, besides yours, your friends, and is there any others out there that you were able to locate on the web?
No, I haven't heard of any other sightings. I think it was your podcast, or I believe it was yours, where you showed the pictures of the map with the most sightings and then the 411 disappearances and how they were very similar. And I noticed on that map that there was nothing in this part of the state. There was not even one little red dot.
Right.
And I don't know. I haven't found anybody else that knows anything about it.
We don't know of two.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, for you guys to actually verify it, see it, you both saw it, which thank God, because you know that half the time these things are like, oh, it was a blip on the radar and there was somebody else there, but they didn't look over in time or whatever. And then all of a sudden you're the only one that saw it. So thank goodness you guys both did.
We saw it together.
That's exactly right. And, honestly, had I have been alone, I'm not sure I would have told anyone because I would have second guessed myself,
I would.
And I asked,
She's like, I wouldn't
my
either.
wife, right when she made the corner and that thing disappeared, I said, okay, what did you just see? Describe to me what you just saw.
Yeah.
And what she said was exactly what I saw. So, yeah, it's,
I don't know what I saw, but this is what I saw.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I know what I saw, but I don't
mistaken.
quite know what I saw. Right, right. Because it's got to be insane to try to process something like that.
Well, one of my side hobbies, I'm into herpetology. I collect red snakes for over 20 years. And so in this area, we have a lot of snakes. And if somebody gets one in their house, a lot of times I'm called to remove it. And 99% of the time, this thing is 12 feet long. It just ate a baby. It's a rattlesnake king cobra.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, you've got to come get it out of my house. I show up, and it's a 2-foot king snake.
So it's like a
and I
gardener
reach down
snake.
and pick it up. So, yeah, exactly. So I do
An extra large worm.
Yeah, it's an
So I do
earthworm, my
understand-
God.
Yes, I do understand how people in a stressful situation
Yeah.
are not exactly going to might not necessarily get the facts
Details right.
and the details right. Correct. Right. So knowing that, I really, really tried to not do that myself with this thing.
Yeah, but that's what's so cool about your sighting is you guys aren't embellishing. You're not saying it turned and it bared its teeth and it was beating its chest and then it ran off and it's not this big
It was not Tarzan.
fancy story. Yeah. It's just no, we didn't see details. It was a silhouette.
No.
It was a refrigerator with legs, but it was hauling ass, obviously. It was moving real quick. And I love the fact that, did I catch this right? Sorry, everybody. The wife is driving. I'm just rewinding. The wife is driving. She's like, we're going to go in that neighborhood now. And you guys actually did try to turn into the neighborhood to see if you could, see it again, right?
Yep. Definitely.
Yeah.
As soon as we saw it, I said, punch it. I looked over my shoulder because we were in the left lane. I looked over my shoulder to make sure there was nobody in the right lane.
Yeah.
I said, punch it. She did, and she was right on it. I mean,
That's awesome.
there was no getting away. And we just lost sight of it as it went around the corner, and boom, that was all she wrote. She was gone. And, there's street lights. Yeah, it was dark, but there's street lights. And
Just not English right.
just, yeah. I don't know.
And I was driving. I used to be a race driver, so I know how to drive.
Oh, there you go. I was going to say, you're like Danica
Yeah,
Patrick. You're not handling business.
But for it to get away from me like that and not be seen.
Yeah, it was just.
I got to get you back on. You've had a hell of a life. You got the race car. You got the mirror. You're sensitive. I mean, you're just right up my alley.
She's got all kinds
Maybe we
of cool
should have
stories.
lunch.
Oh, heck yeah. I finally got myself a Hemi Charger. I've always wanted one. So
Right on.
if
Very
one of
cool.
these damn big feetses want to step out this year, then maybe we could catch it. I don't know.
Maybe.
Well, I drive a Jeep. So
I'll
you'd
let-
have a
I'll
way
let her
better
drive.
chance of getting it than me.
I used to work on my own sports cars.
Yeah, she's had Roadrunners, Barracudas.
Good
Corvette.
Lord, she's a badass. You must be proud.
She is. I'm very proud. Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, that's honestly something that I think I'm just guessing that the listeners will appreciate. Yeah, they don't know the exact location, but trust us when we tell you, yes, this is kind of not the kind of place where you'd be like, oh, well, sure, there's Bigfoot sightings out there. No, not so much. But
Right.
this makes me happy.
so much.
And the fact that you're not telling this fantastical story with all these details of, it's drooling and you can see the sweat flying off of its back when it's
Yeah.
running and all this other shit. So we've all heard
Yeah.
stories
I
like that.
wish. I wish we could. I wish we had
Shannon?
more details.
Shannon,
Yeah.
truth be known, I kind of wish I didn't have to tell this story. And it's not that I have to,
Yeah.
but you've seen, we've seen, and sometimes you think, like you said, nobody's going to believe you, but really, do I really have to be in this position to
Right.
tell it?
Right.
Because it kind of screws you up in the brain sometimes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I didn't talk about my sighting out loud Oh my God, 20-something years. Easy. Maybe even
Wow.
more. If I really sat down and did math, it's probably a lot more than that. But by the time I started to tell it out loud, it took a long time, but it started to just become a little bit more sunk in, I guess, is their acceptance. I think when you
Right.
shut something out like that, maybe you haven't really accepted it. You know what you saw.
Right.
That never changes, but the
Right.
acceptance finally comes through. And I have to tell you, I agree with... depending on the sighting that I'm being described, these more human-looking Bigfoot, I think that would really F me up to see one that looked more human versus the more gorilla type. Because to me,
I
they're
agree.
more of a large
agree.
ape. Yeah. I just,
Yeah.
I don't know that I would go to sleep after that.
Well, if you saw one and it looked like an ape, you could say, okay, it's Gigantopithecus blackie.
Yeah.
Okay, easily explained. Easy, no big deal. But if he turns around and says, hi, my name's Howard, and he's got a tattoo that says Mom, now, I'm kind of screwed in the head a little bit, because now what does this mean,
Right.
But
the implications are just, you're going, that doesn't fit into my paradigm of what, I guess here we go, to say what I want a Bigfoot to be, right?
Right.
And we it's hard to say what they are, and we all have these speculations, but I can tell you what I don't want them to be, and I certainly don't want them to be anything paranormal, and I don't want, I don't like seeing effing lights when I'm out Bigfooting, and I'm not saying they're connected, but that always still pisses me off. I'm like, my God, I can't believe that freaking happened after all these years. But with you guys' sighting, I just... Holy smokes. I don't know, with it booking like it was. It's hard to tell because you guys were driving, it's coming at you, and then it made the turn. But like you said, you thought at first it was some asshat doing a trick on his dirt bike or, a motorcycle or something, a wheelie, doing on these pegs that they do. I just saw one jerk off doing that the other day here down Blue Diamond Road, very busy road, splitting traffic while he's doing it, the asshat. And I was actually filming because I was like, I gotta get it when he gets. Not that I want him to get hurt. I did film it though. I must sound like such an asshole. Anyone that's listening and rides motorcycles, some of you guys need to stop being stupid. Anyway,
right.
I don't know. There are certain things out there. Oh, before I lose this thought. Are you guys bummed out that there wasn't another car around also? I mean, not that you would assume that they would have seen it or that they would have stopped. No. Would you have flagged someone down?
It would have been cool had there been a bunch of people to all see it at the same time and everybody to see the same thing and describe the same thing. To me, that would have been better for me, because I guess it would have just validated it a little bit more. Yeah. But, like I said, I'm glad my wife was with me, and had I been alone, like I said, I probably never would have spoke about it. But sure, I would like for everybody to see it. Yeah. It's a shame that one of these things is going to have to die to prove that they exist. I hate that. But
no, it's not that. It's going to have to somebody die and be found. I'm sure some of them have died.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Somebody is going to have to, chop its arm off or something and bring it to a scientist and say, hey, look what I've got. Yeah. And, that's really sad, because with the CGI stuff nowadays, I see stuff on Facebook all the time. UFOs, Loch Ness Monster, whatever. I don't believe any of it, because I don't know how that CGI stuff works, but I know that they can fool me. That's right. I just can't believe anything. That's my eye. You see these pictures online of places where they supposedly habituate these animals, and they've got close-ups of these things sleeping in a tree and all that. Man, I'd love to believe it, but
that's okay. It doesn't float my boat either. Just about nothing I see on. Everyone's like, "Oh, check out this video!" I half the time I don't even watch them, because it's going to be another. There's too much stuff out there. Exactly.
Yep, it might be true. I might be actually looking at a picture of one.
That's the bummer of it. That is the damn bummer, is these other people that do produce the fake stuff, and it's just for money or laughs or, subscribe to their YouTube. And that's the bummer, is we've probably all seen a couple of videos that are real, but we scoff it off. Oh, I know
Exactly.
what I was getting at with my motorcycle tirade. I'm sorry. My question was going to be, you thought it was someone standing up on the pegs and doing a wheelie, and you thought he's not going to make this turn. So, I mean, to me, I can see that in my head. So, for it to go that fast, you thought you were going to see a motorcyclist take a digger and, I mean, basically not be able to execute a turn. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how
I thought he was going to wipe out. I didn't necessarily thought he was doing a wheelie. I just thought he was standing on the peg.
Oh, standing.
And,
okay, I got you.
Yeah, just standing on the peg. Just, how you, like on dirt bikes, you stand up to go over a bump or whatever. That's what I thought, because it was so tall. And I thought dirt bike because there was no lights, and it was very close to the outskirts of town. But yeah, I thought this guy's it's gonna slide out from under him.
Yeah.
And there's just no way he can do it. Well, boy, when he silhouetted with that light behind him, I just blew my mind. Well, both of us, we just, oh my goodness, this changes everything.
Yeah. Well, what about seeing it again? I mean, are you guys on the lookout ever since that night in 2005 now?
Every time I go out, oh yeah, I'd love to see it. As long as I'm in a vehicle that might be able to outrun it, I'd love to see it. I wouldn't want to meet it in a dark alley.
Right,
know?
When I sometimes have to get up at midnight, 12:30 in the morning to go to work. I work doubles, triples, whatever. So I'm between where we live into a bigger town.
My dog is snoring in the background.
There's not a lot of traffic at that time, so I'm always looking because I don't know if it's going to step out in front of me when I'm going 60 miles an hour.
Yeah, so you were actually out during like prime time. I mean, and it's around the same time when you saw the thing originally.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Some people talk about their encounters, and I can't even call this an encounter. In fact, it's kind of a boring story, but just a sighting, And I hear all these other stories of these people that, they have such a good visual, and, they're up close to it. And I heard a story of somebody that ran into one, not looking where they were going, and all that stuff. Which, man, I don't know if it's true or not, but to me, our story's kind of boring. But
not to you guys. You guys saw the thing,
no.
Especially considering the location.
I don't want to run into one.
What's that?
I don't want to run into one. I run into too many spirits as it is. I don't want to run into something that's live.
Yeah, you're like, I've had and you guys have had that confirmation experience now, which is really cool. Right. So, I mean, beyond the spirit side, now you got the Bigfoot side covered. So,
yeah, I'm very susceptible to that stuff.
I got to hang around you more. Maybe some of that'll rub off on me. Oh man, I got to get out there. If we could hook up on a day that you guys are off and have time. I mean, it's no pressure, of course, but I would love to drive out there, and maybe we could do the tour of everything and go to lunch or whatever out there.
Good. We like scary movies.
Yeah, I'm a big Rob Zombie fan. And in fact, I've got, I don't know if you know Captain Spaulding, one of his characters. I've got him tattooed on my leg. I had a mask.
Yeah, I love that you love Rob Zombie. I was in LA, and he was totally starstruck. He's in this, he was in a vegan restaurant, and I'm not a vegan, but we just happened to be in a vegan restaurant. It was actually delicious. And he and Sherry Moon are sitting there. I'm like, I can't even eat right now. I don't know what to do right now. I didn't do the please sign me, I didn't do that. I didn't snap any pictures of him, but I was like, I am in the presence of greatness and a genius. But I'm the kind that also likes Howard Stern. I love Howard Stern. So a lot of people are like, I don't know how you like Rob Zombie. I don't know how you like Howard Stern, Well, because I guess I'm kind of messed up. I don't know. Yeah.
I saw Kerry King, the guitar player for Slayer, at the DMV years ago. And I walked up to him and said, "Are you Kerry King?" He said, "Yeah." And I shook his hand and said, "Hey, man, I'm not going to bug you. I'm sure you get bothered all the time. I'm not going to ask you for a picture, an autograph. I just want to shake your hand and say, you're a badass guitar player. And nice to meet you." And he kind of looked at me funny because I'm sure he was expecting me to expect something from him. I just wanted to say, "Hey, what's up?"
Yeah. He probably gets something.
I think it'd be the thing.
That's cool.
I'd love to meet Rob Zombie.
There's no mistaking the guy. Like, he's got the dreads and the whole. I mean, that is him. That is. I love him for it. I mean, he's like, I make no apologies for who I am. You don't like it? Well, screw you.
I'd really like to meet his wife, but don't tell my wife I said that.
Oh, no, I want to meet her too.
She was gorgeous. I mean, she was like sparkling and glowing. I mean, I saw him full on. He was actually facing me. He was only a couple tables away, but yeah, I got a side profile of her every once in a while, and then I got a good look when I was walking around outside the restaurant and trying to look like I wasn't looking, but I was trying to be cool. Like, I don't care. It's only Rob Zombie and Sherry Moon. So bad. But yeah, I was cool to see him. When is that other dang it, the three of them? What's it called? It's coming out soon. With
it's the Devil's Rejects. One. It's,
yes,
Three from Hell.
Three from Hell.
Yeah,
that should be coming out soon.
I can't wait for that.
We have the Devil's Rejects line for line. We've watched it so much.
Yeah, you were talking about, I think, Tombstone on one of your podcasts, and have you used lines from that? Well, we do the same thing with Devil's Rejects.
You know why I love his...
And nobody else knows what we're talking about.
That's what's great about it, though.
Walking Business.
That's totally fun. I mean, everybody knows lines from Tombstone, but if you know a line from any Rob Zombie movie, you are a god among men or a goddess among women. Because, here's what's cool about his movies. Here's why I like it. They do make you so damn uncomfortable, and you're like, my, it's just so wrong, but I love it. It's fantastic.
Yes.
He's a genius.
Yep.
That's why it's
funny
good.
Years ago, we were into it when it first came out. Years ago, my niece was living with my mom, and her boyfriend rented it and rented the disc, and they were watching it at my mom's house. And my mom was sitting there watching it. She got in about 5 minutes of it and said, "Oh my God, I can't believe you guys are watching this." And she left. I'm thinking, are we really that desensitized to this? Are we really that demented?
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
I live to watch The Walking Dead. Of course I'm demented.
Yes, she's a big Walking Dead fan.
I still haven't watched the exit of Andrew Lincoln yet. I've gotten behind on everything.
It's good. It's a good one. It is.
Yeah, and the season that just got done, the end of season 9, ended this past Sunday. Season 9 is awesome.
That's what Howard Stern was talking about that, and he's like, "Oh man, they did a good job." But I think Robin was complaining something like, she's like, "I don't," because I guess they have different directors, right, for each episode or whatever.
Yeah, they have like three or four.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah, and she's complaining. She's like, "I don't know who this kid thought he was directing, but he the whole effing episode is dark as hell and you can't see a damn thing about what's going on." And Howard's like, "That's bullshit. These kids are too artistic nowadays."
Well, it was. Remember the fog and all that? It was very dark and hard to see. But
I know what to expect because I was seeing this.
But being dark and foggy and hard to see, that just adds to it for me. It just makes it more creepy.
I think that's what they are going for. It's just the odd, when you just hear something. I mean, everybody's been laying in bed and you hear something and you're like, "What the hell was that?" And you can't see, so you're not sure. That's what's scary about it.
The scarier movies, the movies that are really scary, you never see the bad guy. You got Jason chasing you with a machete or something. It's like, okay.
That's like sleeping and you have your foot hanging over the side and something touches it.
Yeah, that's why that's a no-no. Yeah, that's a no-no. You got to tuck those things in. Everybody knows it's a no-no. If you have limbs hanging off the bed, you're screwed.
Yep. Yeah, the thing is,
I don't let my leg hang over the bed because we have a spirit that lives in our closet.
Oh my goodness.
So my foot is rarely ever hanging over the bed.
All right, that's it. We'll do the Bigfoot tour, and then I'm just going to come over to the house, and we'll just have to have a whole conversation and a tour of the house. I'll sleep in the haunted closet.
Yeah. Well, no, it does come out of the closet. It happened to me, but I never told my husband. And one day he was in bed sleeping, and he thought I laid in bed beside him. It wasn't me.
Yeah, it felt like somebody sat on the bed.
Yeah.
And I was just about to go to sleep, and I thought she'd come in to the room and sat down, and I opened my eyes, and there was nothing there.
Oh, boy. Oh, my.
He likes to lay on the bed beside you. Yeah.
Well,
pretty crazy.
That was quite the little wake-up call then, huh?
Yeah.
Well, if you want to hang out with us, I'll do it like on a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday.
Okay. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah,
I'll be in touch.
Let us know. We'll meet for breakfast and we'll hang out all day.
I would
Cool.
love that. Honest to God, we're going to be in touch because I want to, I didn't even know about the spirit stuff. So, I mean, I was already planning to come out and meet you guys. And I mean, it's always cool to have listeners that are, somewhere around me. I can't be any more specific than that, but within driving distance, let's just say that casts a big net. So I'm definitely willing to drive out there and see. I'm keeping the mystique going there. They have no clue. They're dying to know, and they know nothing. No, let's do that. Let's plan on that. I would love to see all this stuff and meet you guys.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Just let us know.
Yep, you've got our number, and yeah, anytime. That would be awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much. One question about you're into herpetology. So you catch these snakes. Do you keep them at the house? You guys have snakes at the house?
We do have snakes at the house. What I have is, I don't keep anything I got out of the wild.
Yeah.
I got stuff from different pet stores around the area. But I used to breed pythons years ago.
Wow.
And I had 25 snakes at one time. And it was just too much work,
Yeah.
I was always feeding, always cleaning, always doing something. And so I just knocked it down. I have 3 now, and I'm probably going to get rid of at least 2 of them. I've been doing it so long, I'm just kind of, getting bored with it, I guess.
Yeah. Time to relax, huh?
Yeah, it is.
Well, it's also, I have a very bad fear of snakes.
Oh.
And, yep.
And this is the guy you're married to.
When the first time I ever put a foot in his house, I froze. I couldn't move.
Was that when you had a lot of snakes?
No, I only had one at that time.
But it was a snake.
And
he goes, "Oh crap, I have a snake," and I go, "I can't. There's no way I can come in." He had to. It was like, I'm not. Yeah.
But years of.
But I've gotten better.
Well, education goes a long ways. These guys you see walking with a 9-foot boa around their shoulders trying to scare people.
Yeah.
Gives people like me a bad name. I think they're a bunch of idiots for doing that.
Right.
But you take somebody that doesn't know anything about snakes, that has a phobia, and you teach them and say, look, this is not Jack the Ripper. He's not going to chase you down and kill you. It's an animal. He eats, poops, makes baby snakes. That's what they do. Kind of like what we do. He just doesn't
Being
know.
raised on a farm, you would not think I had a phobia of snakes.
Hey, everybody has their thing. You guys know I hate spiders. So if you said you were an entomologist and you collect tarantulas, I probably wouldn't come in the house.
He did have a few of those, but not anymore.
I have before, but I only had them because they creeped me out. But not my thing. I'm not a bug.
You guys know I have a couple of birds. I got a couple of parrots, and I found this really cool pet store that. Sometimes it makes me sad because I always want to bring all the animals home with me. But this particular exotic pet store has an entire section for spiders, scorpions. And these MFers actually had in containers camel spiders. And I don't know if you heard my camel spider stories. But nobody believed, and I have a picture of the thing, and until I produced the picture, I was like, there's no camel spiders in Nevada. Screw you. Yes, there is. I've got a picture of it on my back door. And then these guys at this pet store are selling a camel spider for $100. I don't care if I would have caught the camel spider and got a $500,000. I'm not going near the damn thing. It looks like it's straight from hell. It's insane. And they're selling it. Who the F is going to keep that as a pet? It's the most disgusting thing on the planet, and it surpasses spiders so far that I might actually hold a spider. Like if you said you have to snuggle a tarantula or just get within 3 feet of camel spider, I'm gonna snuggle the damn tarantula. I promise you that.
I don't blame you. They are nasty,
and they're so fast. Why the frig does a bug? No, a suffogay, however you say it. Why does it need to run?
Yeah.
What is it? 7 or 8 or maybe 9 miles an hour? Maybe it's more than that. Why?
And
Why?
It's only gonna run in your direction.
Absolutely.
Why does it have to do that? Why does it have to? It's gonna get a boot right on its head.
Well, that's why they. The other nickname for these things is they call them sun spiders or shadow something or other because they don't like the light. They come out at night, or if they come out during the day, they're looking for shadows. So the reason they chase you is because they're trying to stay in your shadow. How screwed up is that? Wow. Oh, it's terrible. Wow. Yeah. So anyway, sorry, I'm always getting sidetracked.
And I'm kind of fat, so that's a big shout out. That even more.
Oh man, no, we got a lot of messed up stuff here in the desert. And now that I've heard this story, it makes me excited. And now I just want to take a drive and go out there right now, and maybe I'll see one. That is awesome. I can't thank you guys enough for contacting me to tell this story.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you for listening
and believing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, nothing is crazy.
By you asking questions, it kind of opens things up for me. Like, hey, that's a good, wow, I didn't think about that. Yeah, that's, I don't know, kind of there again, like I said, validates what we saw a little bit more,
Well, I can't thank you guys enough. I was, of course, taken aback when you told me the location, but then I'm like, I am so excited to hear this encounter. Thank you guys so much. And thanks for taking the time on your day off.
Oh, no problem at all. Thank you. It's been very enjoyable. And yes, we definitely need to hang out.
Yes, we will. I promise. I'll be in touch, and I'm going to come out there and see you guys.
Sounds good. We're looking forward to it.
All right. Well, you guys have a wonderful day.
You do the same. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye-bye.